Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do a technique video on how to do a background for silhouette stamping. And I've just applied the Distress ink 3 different ways to the card, and I thought I would talk you through that today. So I'm just starting with some Tim Holtz Distress ink watercolor paper, which I really like. It's just a heavier sort of watercolor paper, and I've just got a baby wipe there, and I'm going to apply my first colour, which is Antique Linen, to the bottom of the watercolor paper. Now this colour combination I saw on a Lawn Fawn YouTube video, but I believe Jennifer Maguire originally sort of had the idea for these colour combination. The next colour is Victorian Velvet, and again I'm just using a little patch of the baby wipe to apply that to the paper. And then Seedless Preserves is the next colour, and then last of all is Chipped Sapphire. So I'm just quickly going and dabbing on the pad and then swiping it across the paper using the baby wipe to apply it. And it goes on quite nicely and smoothly, and then I'm just blending the ink colours back together, back down the paper. I'm not applying any more ink, I'm just using the ink that's already on the baby wipe there and just blending those colours a little bit better at the places where they join up. And then that's it really. It's quite a quick and easy technique. And then I've stamped on that page with a penny black stamp called Nature's Paintbrushes in black Versamark ink, and that sentiment there is from a Tailored Expression set, Free Spirit. Next one I'm going to do is just with the sponges, and again I'm applying the ink to the sponges, and the paper that I'm using isn't watercolour paper this time, it's just a smooth card that I'm using there, and I'm just applying the ink again using the sponges and just sponging it on. Again, I've started with the Antique Linen, then I'm going in with the Victorian Velvet. Again, layering the ink on lightly at first and then gradually building up the colour. I've just forwarded through a bit of that. Then I'm going in with the Seedless Preserves, again just building up the colour. I did start a bit heavy there in places, but it doesn't really matter because you go back in and blend it all together anyway at the end. And then the Chipped Sapphire, last of all. And then I did go back with the sponges for each colour and reblend where the ink colours join, just to make sure there was less of a distinct line there and to make sure they were nicely blended. So just going back through, back down to the Wilted Violet now. Just getting rid of any sort of heavy marks that are there and trying to blend them in a little bit. And then last of all, the Antique Linen again. So that's the second technique, and again I've stamped on that with my penny black stamp in Versamark ink. I used my Misty so I could stamp it a few times just to make sure the impression was nice and dark, and then added the sentiment again. The last technique is again using watercolour paper and a bit of acetate, and I've just cleaned off the acetate with the baby wipe there, and I'm just putting the ink onto the acetate in a strip across, same colours again, Antique Linen, Victorian Velvet, Seedless Preserved and Chipped Sapphire, and then spraying that with a little bit of water, and then just laying my watercolour paper and pushing it down a little bit onto that colour. And then just swiping a bit more of that colour on as well. Okay, so then we're just going to dry that a little bit with my heat gun. And I wanted the colour to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to repeat that whole process and push it again into the colour on the acetate and so on, and then drying it. So I've done that twice, and that's the card I've made with the background using that technique. So they're the 3 techniques: the watercolour smooshing on the acetate from the left, and then the plain paper in the middle, and then the watercolour paper at the start, and the 3 cards that I've then made with those 3 background pieces. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video today, and thanks very much for visiting my channel, and I will see you next time.